In the future 3, Africans will have a podcast that exposes all my efforts to convince the blacks that black capitalism will help them.
You dare struggle, you dare win. If you dare not to struggle, then goddamn you don't deserve to win. Let me just see to you if you're willing to fight for it.
I said these politicians clowns, so let me reiterate it. Just being libs will never liberated. They killed the Panthers
has
and the left,
been given a lot of attention and a lot of resources where we've literally turned some reactionaries into celebrities and given them hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars to go around the world to oppose our effeminization.
The stats show we only care about our figures. That ain't just a stat hole.
$1 trillion of critical minerals in Ukraine. They could be the richest country in all of Europe. I don't want to give that money. And those assets to Putin to share with China. If we help Ukraine now,
they milking our chocolate, we think we rich. They give us some chips so we can brag. Ay, why they own the potatoes and keep the bag? Ay, now you stacking your Pringles and I ain't mad. Ay, gotta sell that black soul for Whitey's cachet.
We're not a racist organization because we understand that racism is a byproduct of capitalism. Everything will be all right if everything was put back in the hands of the people. And we're going to have to put it back in the hands.
My paper chasing past to have me feeling like a hypocrite. The dollars can't compromise the change I'm trying to implement. I use the mic to keep the Decepticons at bay with the same qualms as Noam Chomsky and Kwame Ture, hood socialists. With a new era beret, it's like they neuralize you. We just redo errors, it's crazy. They got new Elijahs, Xing out black messiahs today. Trying to neutralize us, just COINTELPRO in a way. Hey, loyalty, it's rarely immune to pay. These coons come buffoon for the Klansmen that they obey. They discard us, disregard us, we take them back anyway. We easy prey, it's evident by the precedents that we lay. Well adjusted to injustice, our people in disarray. Feel the terror from mega ever scared to go disobey. We recite the words, they fearing the play.
The millionaires are paupers.
Right. Worldwide net private wealth stood at $450 trillion in 2022. That I just, and to Diallo's point, remember what this number means. This is money. This is wealth produced for private ownership by all of us, extracted from all of us, in all that we do in the economy.
If they're not educated, they want more, and before you know it, they'll be capitalists, and before you know it, we have Negro imperialism.
It's time for earn your liberation. And it's time. I feel so fine, it's time for earn your liberation. It's time for earn your liberation.
What's up, world? Welcome to another edition of Earn Your Liberation, episode 80. 1 of 3. There we go. You coming on camera?
Yeah, be patient.
Oh, bye.
You brush this.
Anyway, welcome everybody. Like, share,
my
subscribe,
goodness.
support the Patreon in the show description.
God, can I
Put
get
this in your
myself together?
socials. Don't be stingy. My audio's bad. Oh man, I checked it before the show.
You worried about me and ain't got yourself together.
All right, I'll be back.
Oh, I didn't know he was sleeping. Good morning, everyone. What was he saying about the socials, the algorithms, slave to the algorithms? Oh, we're going to be in EYL, Rational Radical, Skip Coon are going to be in Jaffrica, Mississippi, Jackson, Mississippi, August 16th and 17th for the Skip Coon album release party. And we're going to have a session discourse with EYL, and it's all the same. It's all intermixed, all intermingled with EYL, Rational Radicals, and celebrate Skip Coon's phenomenal lyrical, miracle, truth serum cool album release. Okay, what's up?
I don't know. Did that work?
I don't know. Say something.
I did.
Yeah, it sounds a little better.
Okay.
Never sound as good as me, but I mean, what more?
Well, who could?
Exactly. Exactly.
Super irritating. StreamYard is whack for that. I literally tested before the show.
Biting the hand.
Huh? Biting the
Biting
hand? Is
the
that what you said?
hand.
Okay. Well. Anyway, what were you just talking about? Lyrical? Who were you just talking about?
That broadcast you. I was telling people about trying to Jackson, Mississippi, Marcus Garvey Day. Black August, Jackson, Mississippi, Marcus Garvey's birthday. Skip's album release party, Radio Free Jafrica, and EYL Rational Radicals coming together in Jackson, Mississippi. God damn.
Spider-Man, please check your settings because I think it sounds good at this point. But
yeah, I can hear you better. Whatever you did.
All I did was restart the browser, but I had already done that and had already checked it and checked the sound because that was the whole thing. So you talking about don't rush this. I'm early, on time, checking things.
I was early. I just wanted to share my avatar.
It's fly.
Just
Very
AI
fly.
is getting more accurate. You can't even tell it's me, whether it's real or Memorex.
Right. I can't tell if you could go back and forth seamlessly and no one would.
Exactly. Is it real or is it Memorex?
Geechee may or may not join us. I didn't realize he was going to be gone this long. Otherwise, he didn't tell us. Otherwise, I'd have gotten another replacement for him.
It's really hard going overseas to find a trad wife, a submissive female trad wife. It ain't.
I had to look that up the other day, by the way. That's how out of it. Trad wife. I didn't know what that meant until literally 48 hours ago. I don't. Really? I just can't keep up. Yeah, really, literally. 40,
now you super hours. Late because now you know the trad wife backlash is now on. Now we're in the post-trad wife era. A bunch of these trad wives are now coming online saying, I live my whole life cultivating myself to be a helpmeet as God instructed, to be a submissive wife to help my husband achieve his goals and elevate within the world of business or in military. And then so you got these women who orient their whole identities and lives around serving men and being an incubator, a living, walking, breathing incubator, giving birth and making food from scratch. And then they get around late 30s, early 40s and get divorced. They have no life experience, no skills, no formal education. And so then you go from a trad wife to a divorce, skillless, unemployable, and often this is another trick with the trad wives. They're often isolated, so they don't even have like girlfriends or networks like that. So now they're all going online. These race geezers, because race is, white nationalism is a big component of it. So you sisters playing the tribe right, that's not even a reindeer game you invited to, but go off. So these racist skeezers are out here complaining to the world about how, I'm 42 years old and I'm working at Chick-fil-A and I've got 6 kids, no friends, no life experience, no real ambition. And now they want us to be sympathetic to their plight of the trad wife. I guess they want to be feminists now.
Look, I admit you hit one of the 2 points that I'm trying to avoid as I head towards the last quarter or so, or whatever, third or whatever of life, which is I am trying to avoid being that late 60s, early 70s, still working some of these labor intensive jobs. And the other one is something I've been watching some videos about lately, admittedly a little morbid for a Friday morning, but the Darwin Awards. I'm just trying to avoid winning a Darwin Award. Which is an increasing nightmare as I've been doing housework home alone this week, it could get a little treacherous. And I was like, there's a couple times I thought I might have been a candidate. Good thing my trusty
almost took you out.
Well, you never know, man. I mean, I had a moving furniture a few years ago with my family. I had a dresser dropped on my head. I had a couple ladder slip incidents. I messed around and felt the bare minimum of an electrical shock once. You know,
what the hell are you doing out here?
Well, that's the point. I don't know what I'm doing. And then, but every once in a while I feel pressed into service. I feel my manhood is challenged. Literally, the women folk in the house use that old trope as a manipulative tool and get out here. And I'm just trying to avoid it. That's all. Just trying to,
Well, this whole shit is some bullshit. Men being providers, men being protectors. I talk about the paradox of protectors, and it's all a fucking lie. The thing about fascism, which is this trad wife shit was born out of, is they mythologize the past. They don't study the past. They mythologize the past. So first of all, the trad wife thing is a media inventions of 1950s television. It is a corporate invention. The woman at the stove, the happy housekeeper, they made that shit so they can sell modern appliances to the masses in the post-World War. They were like, listen, now with the New Deal, we're using we're redistributing revenues back to the massive GI Bill. And so how do we get the money? See, the elites were forced to give the working class some concessions to avoid a communist uprising in the United States in the post-World War II and the post-Depression era. So they were like, we want to sell them a whole bunch of shit, vacuum cleaners and all this shit. So we're going to have this happy housewife and we're going to start targeted marketing middle-class women. But women have never, at any point in history, in society, been housewife. The housewife is a motherfucking myth. Even white women. That's a motherfucking myth. Women have always worked alongside men. And so if women are working, you just have to redefine their work as housework. You have to redefine their work so you can justify not compensating them for their work. Women have always fucking worked. There's never been a time. Go back all the way through human evolutions where women, the female of the species, the female primate in our revolutionary development, there's never been a time. So any man talking about, I don't want my woman to work. Let me tell you something. That woman, that's a myth and something we striving for something that don't exist. And
he's stupid. That's just hustling backwards, as they say. Yeah. That's just
even the royal women, the most miserable women. That's why I got in trouble because I said, sisters, stop allowing yourself to be called a queen. Black queen, my queen. And I said, queens were nothing but breeding stock.
We should call it my black worker.
Right. They were assets. They would trade women off these young brides when they were still children. And
my beautiful Nubian laborer.
Right. Who the fuck wants to be a queen? That's one of the most miserable stations.
That's what I've been saying. I'm on that crew.
Right. They didn't bathe. They were full of caked up, powdery makeup and perfumes because they stunk. And they wore these weird ass clothes. So you couldn't see the filth encrusted all over the queendom.
There is nothing but hating ass labor in my bloodstream.
Yes.
We did work. We hated it, but we did it. We was hating on the bosses. I just feel like that's my lineage. Hating ass. By the way, just real quick, man. Trophy wife. Just real quick. I went and grabbed it when you started talking. I keep reading this book, and I've been mentioning it by Elizabeth Fawns Wolfe. Speaking of a woman who did some work. This book from the late 80s is phenomenal in explaining the process that you're talking about, at least part of the process. Like the reason we're here today with all of this so much of the approach to work and labor in this country is based on propaganda campaigns that the business community has been running for the last 100+ years. Like it's wild. And then to see people literally this week in my timeline parroting stuff as Black Revolution that white businessmen have been putting together for 100 years.
I wanted to get into that too, but
who?
You know who Yada is, right?
Who?
Yada.
No.
See.
Yada.
Come out of the tower. You got to come down here to the depths of Black consciousness. You got to come to the gutter of consciousness.
What's Yada?
You up here debating and having sophisticated debate with Dr. Negro and Professor Muckety Muck. You need to come down here to the Black consciousness revolutionary trenches. Yada is a Black influencer. He used to talk about health and wellness and natural diet. He went viral when he said menstruation is not natural. Oh,
wow. That's what I thought, Leah. Yada, yada, yada. Is that who you talk about?
No, he was like, he was on that Dr. Sebi bullshit.
Oh, wow.
You don't eat hybrid vegetables. You don't eat hybrid foods. And if a woman starts to eat a natural, holistic diet, her menstruation will cease. She will no longer have a period because period is unnatural and the result of an unnatural lifestyle and an unclean diet. So that was Yada of the past. But of course, since Black people...
You're saying that, I'm sorry, I just want to be clear. He was saying that...
Health guru.
That menstruation cycles were unnatural. Oh,
eating hybridized food, eating an unnatural hybridized diet, eating on the swine, or eating broccoli and carrots, or seedless melons, or, causes you to have a menstruation. And he would walk into grocery store and grab shit off the shelves and break it down how it was unnatural. And you only eat a natural, holistic, on that Sebi shit, talking that shit about mucus.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I see. Minister Yadan Yada.
Oh, that's his reinvention. See, you getting out. You pulling the cover off too fast. That was the old Yada. He's now reinvented himself. Because then I wanted to hate on the community and hate on the masses because they let people like this come and reinvent themselves and come up with a whole new hustle. And we completely forget the old hustle.
This is him. 592,000 followers. God damn. He must have bought them.
You letting this dude operate off the radar, right? So he went as a health guru, pushing that Sebi bullshit. And it just hurts my heart. Everybody was like, oh,
reversing cancer.
Yes. Health food hustler. But now he has reinvented himself as a relationship. He went from a health guru saying that women's menstruation means they're unclean and contaminated. Then he jumped over. And now he's a relationship guru.
Come on, these are submissive providers. These women are having mental breakdowns. These women are stuck in deep states of the...
My bad.
So you're getting out ahead of me. Because the evolution is important here.
Okay, my bad. Go ahead.
The evolution is important. So he went from saying devaluing women, making women's natural physiological cycle, pathologizing women, and literally promoting disease as health. Because there is a condition called amenorrhea that women can develop through various issues, hormonal imbalances, through malnutrition, and other conditions where mature women, their menstrual cycle will become highly irregular or cease altogether. That's called amenorrhea. And that is a disease condition that you should consult a physician. If you are an adult woman between the ages sometimes 13 or younger and late 40s, early 50s, and you have a menstrual cycle and it ceases, it stops altogether, you should consult a condition. But he was calling that the state of peak health. So he went from literally pathologizing women's natural cycle to now saying, putting women on this pedestal. He claims that he paid over $50,000 for his wife. He paid a dowry or a bride price, and saying, if you can't break your wife off with $50,000, he said he paid his wife like 5-10 bands to marry him. And then he's constantly just giving her stacks on stacks on stacks, because the only thing that can demonstrate your worthiness of having the intimate connection, bond, marriage with a black woman is your capacity to give her copious amounts of fiat currency. So he went from pathologizing black women to deifying black women, and black people let him make that smooth transition and been on the ride with this dude nonstop, because we got very short memories and we're very susceptible to some of the dumbest, emptiest rhetoric people can pull out of their hind nether regions. So I don't know how we got on Yada. Oh, with this trad wife bullshit. So
you brought him up. How do we get here? You brought him up.
Who, me?
Yeah, you brought him up.
I think he's relevant because now this trad white, because like we love to run up in behind these white folks. No matter how stupid or ridiculous or absurd the trend is. We mimic them. We sick, boss. Whatever pathology, what did Muda Baruka say? It's not good to stay in a white mountain country too long. So whatever this nonsense. So yeah, the trad wife thing started off as white fascism, white historical revisionism, and the white man continuing his long, unbroken history of sexism and misogyny. And now black men, again, have taken it and coated it in chocolate and put red, black, and green sugary sprinkles over this bullshit, and now selling it back to us, and we are buying it and eating it up. So it's dudes out here saving up for a bride price, saving up for a dowry. The men are paying the dowry. Foolishness. But I'm glad I brought Yada into your life, because you seem like you've been living too good. You've been too comfortable.
Clearly. I mean, this dude is very, if to the extent that these are real, I reverse my mother's cancer.
Citation
what
needed?
though?
Peer review? Maybe that's what he
bottle
got
of apple.
Maybe that's where he got
apple
the
of
money.
Eve. Oh, he's selling apple of Eve.
There you go. But that's what year? That's old.
Is that
you got to
old?
go to his new hustle. That's his old hustle.
Oh, that's 2022.
That's
I mean,
that's the pinned comment. Go below the pinned comments and you get the new hustle.
I see. This is the new one. Okay.
That's the new hustle. See, he used to wear like baggy jeans and ball caps, and now he's wearing Islamic dresses.
Pays you monthly if you choose to be
garb.
a stay-at-home mom, and money should be deposited in a bank account he has no access to.
Now he do that. You literally can like pathologize black women and then, flip to this fake worship when it's really what you call cloistering.
I mean, I added some of these though. I mean, I don't think that, I'm not really mad at some of this. I don't mind sharing.
This is a fucking lie though. Come on. You about to fall for it. You're going to be over here tomorrow in a long shirt.
Sign up. I'm about to sign up. I already got my African outfits and long shirts and all that. I already got all of that.
First of all, how can somebody provide for you 100% on all levels? What the fuck does that mean? It sounds good as fuck. But anybody, let me tell you something. If you got an intimate partner that steps to you and says, listen, I'm going to provide for you 100% on all levels, put that back up. Let's go line by line. Because here you are. You've been seduced. How the fuck can that happen? First of all, you need the sun. The sun do most of the work keeping you alive. You can't provide for anybody. You can't provide for yourself 100% on all levels. How the fuck you going to do that for anybody? You
goal.
Can't do it for yourself.
It's something you should expect.
Okay, but it's nonsense.
But help heal from past trauma. That's not a bad. What's wrong with that?
When he's a past traumatizer.
Oh,
help them heal from teaching them that their
help
menstruation
you heal from what you done did.
Out here ain't been able to eat a carrot or broccoli for the last
help you heal from what
5 years. Help you heal from self-induced malnutrition and amenorrhea. So you can't come as a traumatizer.
Shouldn't we all be on each other's bank accounts?
You traumatizing false teaching adds you to all of his bank accounts.
My wife made me put her on my bank account.
Give passwords to emails and I don't know.
Shouldn't we have each other's emails if they're his or not? I agree with that. And I've got like I've known
that's before marriage. But wait, what's the nature of our relationship? What's that? What?
Well, if you're going to be someone's man, this is what you should expect
from your man. What you should expect from your man.
Yeah.
But what does that mean? Your man, because marriage is way down here. So I gotta adopt the kids before marriage. Pays you monthly if you choose to be a stay-at-home mom. Money should be deposited. Boy, y'all gonna fall. Y'all mad. Y'all some suckers.
I mean, I think that's fair. If I expect my wife to stay at home, why shouldn't I put money in her bank account? She's working.
Well, it's y'all bank account now. And you ain't what at first I put you on all my accounts and then I put money in your accounts and I
don't have access to. And then it says that I don't have access to this one. So it's not fair. Because she has all of my account, but I don't have access to this account.
Jared, you know what this process is called? This is incapacitation. There's a term called cloistering. There's a book going way back called The Cloister. So if you do that, this man provides me from all levels. I'm on all his bank accounts. I got all his social medias, all this. This is an engulfing, an encapsulation process. This is what cults do. Now, imagine you're not doing this with an individual, but you're doing this shit with a group. This is what cults do. They encapsulate you, make you completely intertwined and dependent. But okay, y'all sisters go ahead and get y'all yada. And how you Afrocentric with Gucci sandals, but whatever, man. Let me see. After giving birth, he must hire you a what if see that shit, get that shit back tight. It's already getting toxic. You just gave birth. And it's already some dude, 48 hours after you give birth, he got some fucking gym rat at your door. Get back up, tighten that shit back up. After giving birth, he must hire you a personal trainer. The fuck is that? That's just a weird thing to include on the list. Hire you a chef and do all the cooking after 3 months. So you working out. Must respect you at all. Must keep your hair and nails done. My wife twists her own locks. I don't know. Okay, but let me tell you something. This sounds good. This is what they call game. But I've already lost you to it, Jared. So
I mean, because I think there's some value in this, and he's almost got 600,000 followers, so he must be doing something right, you know. So
yes.
Or
like I said, y'all
shouldn't we respect women at all times, regardless of our mood? And after giving birth, he must do all the cooking for first 3 months, or hire you a chef. I'm not mad at that. Although we couldn't have afforded we couldn't afford a chef, and I don't think we would have survived on my cooking. So that would have been but fortunately we have just so many grandmothers and great grandmothers, and we have so much, and sisters-in-law, and I was good.
Okay. You sisters about to, but I listen. These hustlers and shuckers, they run this game, and now he's got these sisters out here like, oh, this is the kind of man I want, and trying to get you provide for all your needs 100% at all time. This is a formula for cloistering. where you encapsulate. Don't let nobody become your everything. I'm telling you, it takes two to procreate. It takes a community to cultivate. This dude is taking the money y'all done gave him after he told y'all that periods ain't real, and now giving that to some sister to be his, like a trophy wife. Like the dude said, this trophy wife bullshit. And what do you do with trophies? You put them shits on a shelf, up out of the way, to be seen. To be seen, not heard. And trophies represent your glory and your accomplishment.
What is that song?
It's not the other way around.
But I used to play it for my daughters all the time in the go-go version, because I don't know. I don't know what the real version is, but there's a song where the woman is singing, "I don't want to be under your spotlight, just because you think I might find somebody." Who is that?
That's the girl from Chicago. Your spotlight.
I don't want to. I used to. I would talk with them about that. Okay, because we would. I don't know who it is. Jennifer Hudson did that? She did that? I don't want to be under your spotlight. Just because you well, the go-go version is banana. So I'm sure she crushed it because she's an incredible singer. But
well, she's under common spotlight now. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what
Chicago legends coming together. I can't hate.
Well, that's I mean, I guess that's I don't know. I just can't get over seeing. Well, first of all, he did the. I'm glad he's back. Let's say it that way, because I couldn't get over. There was that few year period where he had the track on that album that Kanye produced, where he says he's calling out brothers with locks with a white woman on their arm. Then of course he goes and gets a white woman,
white girl.
Then he gets his white girl.
Love is blind. Remember, that's when he was a new black. But how many times
then he wrote a self-help book?
Common goes off brand and comes how many times? Just like Yada. Y'all some suckers, man.
And have you heard his new album with Pete Rock?
Now all is forgiven.
I didn't say all. Actually, the opposite, because I only heard 2 tracks on there that I liked. I was very disappointed in it.
After Like Water for Chocolate.
And I saw him perform that live in Central Park years ago. Summer of 2000, one of the best shows I've ever seen. And shout out to my man Joaquin and his crew. They were all there too.
And y'all talking about his records. What about them fucking war propaganda, pro-CIA?
Oh yeah, the Sensei of Chicago. You missed that when when Common had his white girl phase. Oh no.
Most rappers fell out with the dread with a white girl.
Yeah.
How many times can Common come
back?
And
Laura Dern, he did mess with her. Isn't that true? That was right.
I'm the C to the
I think he was with Laura Dern, because I remember thinking, what in the
No, he was with the newscaster.
I think he had a couple.
Can I tell y'all something though?
I don't know, Kenyatta. I'll have to listen 3-4 more times. I can't say I agree with you on that one.
I've never. That's Boney Stomey from Homie. I've never seen Common that goddamn happy.
Uh-oh.
Have you ever seen? I've never been that happy in my life. Jesus, I've never been that happy.
You know,
I'm missing out.
Wait a minute.
I gotta let go.
That's really happy. I agree. Have I ever been that happy? I don't think I've ever been that
happy in my life.
Not sober.
I take back everything I said, Common.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Get that black boy joy.
Hey, you know what? The only that's funny. My joke was going to be the only time I was
like that.
Hold up, let me get the only time I was that happy. I was with my white girl too. Who's going to catch that? Who's going to catch that?
Listen.
Who is going to catch that? Nobody's going to get that.
This is a drug-free zone. Listen, shout out to Nancy Reagan.
Just
that drug or that DARE program kept me on the straight and narrow. Shout out to Nancy Reagan. I just said no, and I haven't regretted it to this day. Thank you, Nancy Reagan. In 19s,
we used to sniff lines while laughing at those commercials.
Not me. I was sitting there taking notes. I am a Nancy Reagan disciple, or as what is Stickman gave us a title. We sober soldiers.
Nah, I was over there. That white girl had me that happy.
Wow! Shout out to comics. This is bringing me joy. I'm getting like secondhand. I'm getting backwash happiness. I'm getting secondhand happiness. Just
oh my God! Stop playing. Go find the picture. Google your picture and find where he looks that happy with Jennifer Hudson. I know there's one.
Okay.
Stop faking. Stop playing.
I'm gonna stay home.
Stop
but if
playing.
I don't see that picture, if I can't find a picture, Serena Williams. First, let's see.
Yeah, stop playing on this man's name while
I'm just trying to see. Oh no.
You're gonna find he's gonna be out there grinning just as much.
No. It's not beaming though. Let me tell you something.
Hey, no, you haven't found it yet.
I found, and I saw
he did look very happy in that picture.
Most of the pictures of him and Serena are deadpan, but this is as happy. I tried to find the happiest looking picture. I went through a few of them. And this is the happiest.
Don't front.
Don't compare to that.
What morning show ever is going to hit this level of research? Stop playing, Josh.
This is as best you get with Serena. This is the best Serena can get you. Not that
he looked pretty happy there.
No, I want to look so happy that I look hurt.
He doesn't look Laura Dern happy.
Happiness. I want that strained happiness.
He doesn't look white girl happy.
Expanding, head stretching. I want that death mask happiness. Yeah. That rigor mortis grin. This ain't that. This ain't that.
Oh man, that's hilarious.
He looks content. This is contentment. That other image was elation.
You're right. He does not look Laura Dern happy in that one. But I hope. I'm sure there's some Jennifer Hudson shots where oh, that's messed up, Sensei. Listen, that's messed up. That's messed up. Don't do that to her.
Let me tell y'all something. I'm going out for milk. I'm going out for milk.
So
let me tell you something. I don't listen. Y'all call me what y'all want. Y'all can post me. I'm going out for milk this afternoon because I ain't never. Dr. Mingo ain't never got me there.
So I was reading. If anybody, just real quick, I want to put this out. I haven't gotten into the new episode.
Jump to the next topic while my family.
My bad. I thought you. We're not done.
And you just want to jump to the next topic.
I just want to. I didn't even want to jump to the topic. It's not a topic. I want to just throw something out. Go ahead, man. I'm just saying you're not finding the right picture. You're right. He does not look Lord. That's not white girl happy. He's not white girl happy there.
I'm showing teeth in all three photos. We got teeth.
He's teething, but he's not white girl happy. That's not elation. He looks content.
I'm about to go get that. How much did Yada say I got to give the woman? He didn't specify
everything. 100%.
I might have to go out for milk.
100%. Whatever it is, 100%. Diallo, 100%.
I'm about to go. I got to go get some cigarettes. I'm gonna go out for cigarettes.
Wow, Troy is all caps, telling us to move on. Good Lord, Troy, all caps.
Troy don't see. I think now these brothers that get this elation, because he got him a white woman. He's like, leave all the white women for me.
Hey, that you need that white girl happiness. Real quick, but can we move on though? This is not a topic. I just have a request. I started looking through at least the new edition of Hammer and Hope, which features an interview with 2 Black. And I'm very interested to see what I was wondering what they were saying about the Democrats and Gaza. And in the new opening editorial essay, they seem to be pointing to a critique of the Democrats, but I don't, or showing how Biden has led people away from, or caused a division with Democratic Party supporters, but has not. I'll just show you the editorial essay I'm looking at. Gaza, the Democrats, and how to fix our wretched politics. I'm just going to say it. I feel like this is a tacit inducement for us to support the Democrats. And I don't, and there's, I don't really have any definitive proof, but when you just read through it, they talk about the Democrats causing problems for their base by supporting genocide. They talk about, but then they, but at the end, they just kind of conclude, with Audre Lorde. You do not have to be me in order for us to fight alongside each other. It's talking about being in solidarity. But how are we going to be in solidarity with Palestinians or anyone else when we're ultimately left with a Democratic Party that does genocide? And then we go on Twitter and see some of the same arguments again, where people are saying, my man Greg Carr again, in fact, saying, hey, if you don't vote for Trump, what was the tweet I shared with you all? That was wild. It was just wild. But reflective of a conundrum. I draw the line at weaponized ignorance. It's a stew of innuendo. Okay, the point he says here is that pay attention or tell us what you want Trump in to give full reign for full slaughter. So, and my point in bringing this up again, not to just keep coming back, Carr, although I can't help but be fascinated by his political turn, is that the idea that while there's a full-fledged genocide actually taking place under the guiding leadership of the Democratic Party, this is not the full slaughter, that there's yet another level of slaughter that we would get if we had Trump. And I just think that that's such a wild argument to make, even as Hammer and Hope, in a more sophisticated way, recognizes the complicity in all this of the Democratic Party. There's no overt call for a break or a change or a different way to engage. So I'm going to look more carefully at. That's what I was asking. I wanted people to check me on that. I didn't read it terribly carefully. It just came out. I saw it late, but I was a little bit confused. But I'm a little bit struggling with where we're supposed to go. And then after, and I don't know if you want to take some time with this. We didn't really get a chance to talk about it, but I watched a summary critique of Netanyahu's speech and seen some of the reactions, and shout out to everybody that was protesting out in the streets over the weekend, and the tear gas and all the stuff that they had to endure and all the nonsense and all of that. Shout out to them. But I'm like, it was, anyway, it's just odd. I don't really have, so I just really was inviting people to check Hammer and Hope, and shout out to them for including two black, but anyway, that was really it. I do have that is to say that it's not it. And I do have a couple things if we want to take some time, but I want to give you a chance
I got some things to say.
Okay.
But let me tell you something. Like I said, when I went to the Congo, Palestine protest at the Big Apple store on the north side of Chicago, it hit me seeing all the people. Okay. I got you. Sorry. That was just my wife up here asking why.
Well, you have to give her 100% support. So if she wants to interrupt, you have to let it happen.
She wants all of it. She just was like, she needs all my passwords and all my accounts and provide for all of her needs 100%.
100%.
And she wants to collect on the deficit, because I didn't cook or clean for 2 months.
Right, and I know she's not the typical.
I'm about to drop that personal trainer on here. I know. Where's the Chicago sensei?
She's not a homemaker. She's not a housewife per se, but I'm sure she's also looking for that stipend you owe.
Well, do we have to do everything on the list, or can we pick and choose?
No.
Can we pick and choose like it's the Quran or the Bible? Oh, there he is. Don't be laughing emoji. My wife, she gave birth a decade ago. It don't matter. She never did her personal training afterwards, so got to get her on that. So Chicago Sensei, give me a discount package for personal training. We gonna do it all. Where was I? Oh,
Congo, Palestine.
Yes,
rally.
and I was looking at all these people coming from different parts. It was a really big protest, and we shut down the Apple store. Whoop-de-doo. And I'm like, there was one guy who was really popular, some really popular activist, anarchist, socialist, radical, anti-genocide white boy that all the white folks knew. And he got up to speak. And when he grabbed the megaphone, he was like, I just came in from Oklahoma. And I thought to myself, this white boy had to bypass half a dozen genocides, active genocides,
to get to this one,
to get to protest the genocide over there. I mean, the Lakotas, the Sioux, he had to.
Are those active though? Those are like those are kind of past tense, aren't they? Really?
Exactly. So this is there's a respectable book. It's not really radical, but it's accurate in its assessment, even though it falls apart in the solution, called A Century of Genocide. It talks about the genocide. There's genocides all day, everywhere, at all times. So it's not about whether or not a genocide is starting or stopping. It's about which genocides come into our consciousness at any given time. Just about 5 years ago, we were all up in arms about Myanmar. You know, Burma, genocide in Burma. And then there was, remember the controversy when the U.S. was going into the Iraq war, and they were like, well, you're going to use Turkish airspace to commit a genocide in the Persian Gulf. And then the Turks were like, yo, y'all been talking this shit about Armenian genocide, and y'all been bringing Armenians in to talk about their genocide. So if you want to go commit this genocide, you better fall back on acknowledging that. So in order to enact the genocide, they had to deny another genocide. So this is genocide central station. Capitalism, genocide, imperialism, they are all constants. They are given. They're not on the ballot. There is no non-genocidal party anywhere near the reins of power in any Western capitalist nation. And then we just call everything a genocide. We got fratricides, you know, femicides, death, death, death. I don't like quoting Derek Jensen because he flipped to the right. He went from a far left anarchist to a right-wing reactionary. I don't even know. I think it's something I call latent racism.
I don't know, Derek. I thought Robert Jensen for a second,
no,
the journalism Derek professor. Jensen. I was about to say.
He wrote he was he's tree hugger, environmental shit. Most of his writings is about the ecosystems and environment. But you know, you can't write about that without politics. But he said this culture has a death urge. This culture is a death machine. And then we got genocides everywhere, all day, all the time. And we literally have the genocide of the hour. We were talking about Darfur, and that Zionist comedians made a joke and was like, Darfur is old. What's Dar 5?
Oh, wow.
So let's move on, because, you know, supporting Darfur, and we had all these people walking around with Darfur t-shirts and celebrities at award ceremonies and red carpets talking about Darfur, which is still ongoing. They've moved some borders and created a couple of new flags, and the same Janjaweed Islamicist militias still doing wholesale slaughter and starvation. So this is a genocide all the time, everywhere. And now, not to diminish it, but Gaza is the genocide of the hour. And some people really believe the Gazan genocide started in October of 2023. When it's an ongoing genocide. And there are people literally calling out and condemning one genocide while validating another. Do you
want to take the video? Do you want to take a few minutes and go through some of the critique of Netanyahu's speech? I didn't watch the whole speech, but I did. No, because I did find
it down the Yada rabbit hole. So,
well, I will play.
You're getting your get back.
Now, I'll play this. This is from the Times of India. It is gross, but
disgusting.
I'll play it at a little bit advanced speed, so we don't. But the critique of it is I think I found valuable. So.
Has one of the lowest ratios of combatants to non-combatants casualties in the history of urban warfare. And you want to know where it's lowest in
it's
lowest.
The lies he does pull are crazy. I mean, it is amazing that he would want this level of applause and then just be out here with the target doing the Obama thing. We didn't just, we have targeted strikes. We protect civilians. So I'm glad that the Times of India did this in terms of a quick breakdown of his lies, that, you know, misleading claims, vague numbers, many wrongs in Israel Prime Minister's speech.
Prosecutor accuses Israel of deliberately targeting civilians. What in God's green earth is he talking about? The IDF just dropped millions of flyers, sent millions of text messages, made hundreds of thousands of phone calls to get Palestinian civilians out of harm's way.
And then they show how the IDF warnings have failed to prevent civilian casualties.
Oh, they failed.
90% of Gaza's population has been forced to flee by the IDF at least once. UN agency states 80% of Gaza is under evacuation orders or designated as no-go zones.
That's why, despite all the lies you've heard, the war in Gaza has one of the lowest ratios of combatants to non-combatants casualties in the history of urban warfare.
More than 39,000 people have been killed in Gaza since October 7th. Per Gaza's health ministry, Israel rejects these numbers, calling them highly inflated and part of Hamas's propaganda. Casualty counts in conflicts are difficult to verify, and no two wars are directly comparable. Hence, Netanyahu's claims of lowest civilian deaths are simplistic at best and plainly false at worst.
In Rafah, remember what so many people said? If Israel goes into Rafah, there'll be thousands, maybe even tens of thousands of civilians killed. Well, last week, I went into Rafah. I visited our troops as they finished fighting Hamas's remaining terrorist battalions. I asked the commander there, how many terrorists did you take out in Rafah? He gave me an exact number, 1,203. I asked him, how many civilians were killed? He said, Prime Minister, practically none. With the exception
Did he ever define what a civilian is in Gaza?
No, they can't. I mean, that's no.
They have put out definitions. They had the same definition in Iraq and Afghanistan when the U.S. committed genocide there.
Something people said we could never do, but we did it.
This claim is particularly bizarre as the fact presented is verifiably false. The incident talked about here happened in May and killed at least 45 people. And you can see them bulldozing the house. In the same week, 29 Palestinians were killed in 2 separate attacks on displacement camps in Rafah. Verifiable media reports from Rafah have also reported scores of other incidents of civilian deaths.
The prosecutor of the International Criminal Court has shamefully accused Israel of deliberately starving the people of Gaza. This is utter, complete nonsense. It's a complete fabrication.
The fuck they applied this motherfucker, and since when a foreign leader addressed the fucking?
They let this dude do this all the time. They love this shit. It's crazy.
He punked Obama.
8 have warned Gazans face starvation, with the UN saying Gaza is on the brink of famine. Israel and UN disagree on aid tracking methodologies. Aid distribution on ground is unclear at best.
We recently learned from the National Security Director, U.S. Director of National Intelligence, that Iran is funding and promoting anti-Israel protests in America. They want to disrupt America.
U.S. Intel chief did confirm Iranian ties to some protesters, but provided no specific details. I don't know, what is that supposed to
I've been to 3.
Intel head Admiral Haynes also
check?
emphasized that all protesters are disingenuous.
Ayatollah, man, he got to break me off.
Disarms and returns all the hostages.
How much you get for 3 protests?
Yeah, I mean... And out of how many of the protesters are said to have been connected? I mean, that's...
I ain't got my check for Russia. You know, for my anti-democrat, my Russian financed anti-democratic rhetoric. I got a check.
Netanyahu made no mention of the ceasefire in his speech. No, I know we didn't get our checks from the ceasefire is one of the preconditions for Hamas for any hostage deal. Many believe hostage return is more important than continued fighting. That's interesting. Poll: 2/3 of Israeli public doubts Netanyahu's total victory is likely. So, shout out to the Times of India for that quick summary for those of us who did not watch the entire speech.
India. Can we ask India about?
Well, I didn't. We didn't get. Well, I don't know if you got yours, but I did not. I didn't get my gynocentric check, and I have not gotten my gay agenda check.
Everybody.
So I'm a little bit disappointed that the funds.
I was gonna say something about glitter and how they pay you, but I'm not even gonna go there.
Be careful.
I live out there, so don't go there.
Comedy
is dead. What do these reactionary comedians say? Cancel culture. Comedy is dead.
So just quickly before fully leave this topic, I did, are we to give credit to any of the Democrats who skipped the speech?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Correct. Even Pelosi skipped. Clyburn skipped.
Good.
But
yes.
And then Kamala met with him. And then as someone, and then as two Fs, I'm so proud that I finally figured that out. As two Fs points out, Kamala called the peaceful protesters violent, which speaks to another story that I saw in the aftermath of this weekend. I love the Wall Street Journal's editorial page said that Israel protesters make Netanyahu's point, because you all went down there and spray painted Hamas and Free Gaza all over these monuments, and people shout out to the people who put crickets and bugs in the eating areas and the dining areas where folks had gathered. Shout out to that.
Storm the Capitol. You can't got nothing on these right-wing reactionaries.
But they're proving that's actually interesting. So does January 6th prove
what? The Trump assassination canceled out January 6th.
No, but the argument of the Wall Street Journal is that the behavior of the protesters proves the critics of the protesters right.
But it don't.
Well, obviously, I'm just saying that's the Wall Street Journal's argument. But so my thing is, first of all, I don't know to what extent you were serious, but I don't want anybody to be given credit for boycotting Netanyahu's speech when most of them have done nothing to stop Biden from
first of all
continuing to support the genocide. And then their own foreign policy, if your foreign policy is to support Israel and to condemn Hamas and do all these other and do all these other things associated with those kinds of policies, then why should you be given credit for skipping a speech? It seems so. And then Kamala is going to go meet with him behind the scenes and do whatever you
should be given credit and acknowledge and recognize that, because this is the United States political arena. And the spectatorship and the symbols in politics are very important as you navigate this system. So all political actions, if you are a politically engaged person, should be acknowledged and recognized and understood and engaged. Even if it's an empty symbolism, even if it's a courageous act, we have to acknowledge it, number one. Now, what weight does it carry? What does it mean? And how do we move forward? That's another discussion. But yeah, I do think it's relevant that half the Democrats will not come to the meeting, because we have to navigate this system. Some of us are trying to integrate into this system. Some of us are trying to reform this system. Some of us are trying to subvert this system. But if you in any way want to act upon this system, you have to be aware of the various changes and climates in the system. Now, if there was a black unity rally where all the black leadership comes together and half the black people in that thing, we all claim we want the same shit and we all stand for the same thing, and half of that delegation decides not to come to the keynote, you don't think the feds that are watching to act upon our black interest and subvert and manipulate black interest are not going to acknowledge, like, God damn, there's a rift. It may be minor, it may be symbolic, but there is some action there. So if we really are talking about having solidarity with Palestine and changing this condition, You got to fucking start somewhere. So yeah, acknowledging that and acting on that, say, hey, you don't show up to a meeting, and pointing out the contradiction. Maybe those are some people you can move. Maybe some of those people are vulnerable politically. The IDF and AIPAC and Mossad are going to are paying attention to who didn't show up. These powerful entities that seek to manipulate the government on behalf of Zionism, you think they're ignoring who didn't show up and not working up dossiers on every single person that didn't show up and give a standing ovation for that genocidal piece of shit?
You think they need a dossier on Nancy Pelosi while she continues to vote to send more resources?
Constantly update them. But listen, y'all, but you don't hear me though. Y'all don't hear me.
I don't think you're hearing me, because like Leah,
we cosplay politics in this country. We cosplay politics. We don't engage politics. We don't participate in politics. We don't cultivate and advance politics. We just cosplay politics in this country.
So as Leah is saying here, I brought it up. So it is acknowledged. It's not that I'm not acknowledging the act. Right. But what I am acknowledging it as is it is cosplaying as some sort of
it is
protest,
a symbolic
or
act.
some sort of division act that people like you are meant to pick up on and say can be played upon and taken advantage of. So I don't. But what I'm saying is something different. If I may get my two words out, is that having
heard your 2 words. You want to be cute? Let's stay cute. Is that you got your 2 words out now? As I was saying, now I'm joking, but go ahead.
You're not joking, but so the point would be that I don't think that Nancy Pelosi and the rest of them, AOC and all the rest of them, are making it. Ayanna Pressley has already been in opposition to the policy, so her not being there isn't anything spectacular. What it shows for me is that there is an attempt in the advance of an election to create some symbolic phony difference between the Democrats and the Republicans, because and that's why I brought up the Carr tweet, which I think is indicative of the whole messaging that is intended here. Ignore the fact that under the Democratic Party, this genocide is ongoing. Ignore that. Focus only on the fact that we're now saying, while we're conducting the genocide, that it will get worse if you elect the other guy. That to me is absurd, and not something that I think we should be looking to take advantage of in terms of a division within the Democratic Party, but it's something we should be looking to recognize as another phony attempt of that party to manipulate more people to support them and not develop actual alternatives.
First of all, I got some bad news for you. That is absurd. But this entire political system is absurd. This entire fucking economy is absurd. This whole culture is absurd. Absurdity saturates every component of this system in society. Global white domination, white hegemony, imperialism is absurd. So yes, absurdity acknowledged. All I'm saying is, as someone who seeks, I'm on the subversion side. I think the systems and institutions of white domination and white hegemony and capitalism must be subverted. The vast majority of our people fall in lines of reformists and integrationists. The two oligarchical capitalist pro-genocide parties there has been historically where concessions can be made. And like you said, you use keywords like manipulate. Everybody's fucking manipulating. We should be seeking to manipulate. We should be seeking to clasp on to symbols and symbology and even empty acts that carry no weight and determine. Because African people need our own political strategies in this system. We have to stop being fucking true believers. As a person, just in religion, simply pointing out the hypocrisies and failings of religions is inadequate. Simply informing people of the hypocrisies and failings of the Democratic Party are inadequate. We have to come up with tactics and strategies. There are choke points There are, or as what you call it said, there are contradictions within this system that we can elevate and raise. Because as we fight to liberate ourselves and to subvert the system, we also have to navigate and go through it, and we are still subjected to it. We're not about to get up from under this system within this election cycle, unless y'all got some revolutionary schemes going on in the background that you have wisely kept me out of. Some high level. So since the system is going to be here tomorrow, what would be the relationship? So my only position is I would take note, if I was the Black leader, I would identify every single person that boycotted that meeting. I would make them come forward and say why they didn't take that stand. I would make them publicly live out that contradiction and stand on that contradiction. And to see, you have, like you said, a couple of Congress people that are staunchly anti-Zionist even before that became the genocide of the hour. And boost them and develop a whole cadre within that. And because there is that rift within, a minor rift, those who come to the speech and those who don't, that is a rift. And these crackers got beef. They got beef in their shit. And we always talk about how we're divided and conquered. And the way they divide and conquer us is they identify the small, even symbolic, rhetorical, semantical differences within our groups and organizations and blow that shit up. But we don't even have that concept. Because we don't like to do politics. We like to critique politics, which that's my whole life. I paid the fucking white universities. I ain't paid them, but they expect me to pay them on the back end to learn how to analyze and critique politics and policy. That's my formal education. But so we are more content with watching than doing. Because when you engage politics, it's dirty, it's nasty, it's filthy. So you just say, well, I'm pure in my politics and my analysis.
No, so this is what I keep coming up.
I'm not going to acknowledge a symbolic act when that's 90% of the shit is symbolism.
But
you don't let that shit slide.
But Diallo, one, we're not a pre-organized community. Please stop interrupting me. Please let me say something uninterrupted, and please let me gather my thoughts. I've taken notes and I'm trying to respond to 4 different points you've made in the last soliloquy that you went uninterrupted through. So just give me a second here.
Okay.
So one question I have, which speaks to the point I'm just trying to raise, is how do we develop and advance an independent agenda with this kind of fake boycott when we're not calling it out as a fake boycott meant to create a phony symbol of division, which is ultimately how the ruling elite engage their own actual divide and conquer mission, preventative measures, by making it appear as though there are differences where there are not, so that they can mask their actual differences, which really just boil down to which pocket of them is going to walk away with what amount of resources. The ruling elite are not divided so much on key aspects that we would be concerned of in terms of capitalism versus socialism, exploitation versus liberation. They're not divided there. Their divisions exist on which pockets of their ruling elite are going to walk away with which percentage of which resources. So they create these symbolic differences to prevent for us from actually engaging in divide and conquer tactics against them. Because what ends up happening is we get confused as an already largely disorganized electorate, never mind anything beyond electoral politics, just in terms of electoral politics, a largely disorganized electorate that is following that's either not voting or simply following the most popular promoted candidates. So we're not engaging this as, again, a pre-organized, agenda-driven community. So how do we get there if we're not calling out these acts of phony symbolism as that which they are? And then similarly, the point you ended with is something I hear all the time, that people like me are not willing to do the dirty work and to get real politic, and we're wanting to stay pure and all of that. That's not what I'm saying. And I'm so tired of that straw nonsensical argument, because what I keep advocating is how do we advance beyond this state if every election cycle we are told to accept every symbolic effort, every minuscule claimed difference between the parties, vote blue no matter who, not develop our own agendas, our own parties, our own efforts within parties, et cetera, and so forth. We're never encouraged to do that. So the people that promote this, the way we're supposed to engage every 4 years, are the very people who do no work in the intervening years to advance analytically or any other way some sort of other radical approach to electoral politics. And then when people like me who do try to advocate that in intervening years and are constantly ignored, we come back, and then in 4 years they can say, well, it's not going to change in this election cycle, so blah 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 blah. So, those are the 4 points. So that's where I'm at with. That's why I'm saying we have to call it out so that we can advance. So that 4 years from now, we're not back here calling me a purist and saying fall for and accept whatever symbolic differences they offer.
Okay. Thankfully, your solutions are embedded in your analysis. You said we're not organized. So whether the ruling class has genuine rifts, or it's just pretending to beef for our benefit, like you said, if we're not organized, we cannot take advantage of existing vulnerabilities or create vulnerabilities if we're not organized. So step one is to organize our people. You ask, how do you organize a population? Well, there's various techniques, strategies proven and demonstrated over time. The main thing that I think that's been my problem in organizing is ideology. There has to be ideological training. I think the problem is we do a lot of the labor, but the ideology isn't locked in. And people's policies. We had those young brothers and sisters on that came up with their whole policy framework for ambitious, even though it's not on a national scale, but on an ambitious. So education, developing policies, demonstrating to the people at the various levels of government that how can people impact the system, identifying vulnerabilities within the system and times when the system is forced to make concessions. I don't think that their only difference, because these motherfuckers got beef. Now, that's one thing. I don't think that all their beef, that they're all unified and everything. These motherfuckers are chaotic and dysfunctional. So when you say, oh, well, that was symbolic, I don't think it was purely symbolic. I think that the historical records show that the elites beef and they send off people to war to die. And there's been assassination attempts and fucking people, somebody ran up in Nancy Pelosi's house with a fucking hammer, and beat her husband about the head with a hammer in the name of MAGA. They were in the fucking state capitol. These crackers was in the state capitol rubbing feces on the wall trying to murder fucking Mike Pence. I don't think that's all for our privilege and benefits. So these motherfuckers got real beef. There are real choke points and divisions and conflicts amongst the elites. They are not, even though they are immensely powerful and immensely wealthy, they are not unified or move as one. I think some of their beefs are real and sincere. And I agree with you. We have to organize in order to take advantage of, or sometimes not even take advantage of, but even for defensive and able to properly endure the various shifts within the government. They do have common interests in terms of holding power and hoarding resources, but their techniques, their strategies, their value systems in terms of whether we're going to be secular or theological, they have a lot of differences that we should acknowledge and seek to exploit to our communities and our people and our agenda's advantage. But
so the beef is real, but it's not about who among them will get. But the beef is real, but it's about who among them will get what. It's not a beef over our liberation or our enslavement. They are in agreement over that. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not in denial that they would go to war with each other and assassinate each other. I don't have any problem.
Take that position?
No, that's my point. What I'm saying, that's my point. So given that, so when you're pointing out that they have differences in beef, to me, that's irrelevant because their differences in beef are not about which one, is only about which one of them is going to get to rule us in which way. So my point is that should lead us to understand that when we see Nancy Pelosi and others saying, I'm not going to be in attendance in Netanyahu's speech, and then we watch them support giving him all the materials he needs to conduct his genocide, we should recognize that for what it is, that this is part of the hustle that the ruling elite plays off of each other. Now, of course, they will run into conflict, and then they will happily use us to go kill each other for them to walk off with all the resources. So that's my whole point of this, is to say, like, once you recognize that their only beef is with each other over, yes, they are maniacal, they are insane, and they will fight each other using us ultimately to get all their hands on everything. So yeah, they'll pretend like, yeah, I'm not going to be at his speech publicly, but then Kamala's going to go meet with him privately and sign off on him and promise to sign off on everything.
That fucking matters. That matters.
That difference matters. No,
yes.
It matters in that we should be calling it out to say that the Democrats are hustling us, not to say that there's a gap we can take advantage of.
But you see through it, right?
But I'm already off the.
Jared,
No. Of course I see, because as you already said, I'm a purist. I'm a lunatic purist who can't wait to create these arguments every 4 years out of nothing. Your word was purist. So of course I'm not going to go for this. But overwhelmingly, the population, the electorate will go for this. And then when you have people like you who are presented as radical, progressive, thoughtful interlocutors come out and say, no, you should appreciate those differences, it causes even more confusion.
Jared, you're telling me that the internal beefs of the ruling elites, the internal conflicts of our oppressors, are not relevant to us.
I didn't say that. I did not say that. I said we should understand what they are and see how that internal beef plays out when they hustle us. That's what I'm saying,
Jared.
That's what I'm saying. You're saying you're misinterpreting the beef. I'm not saying the beef doesn't exist. I even wrote it down. I'll even read it again.
What's my interpretation of the beef besides the fact that it's real?
I'll read it again. I wrote it down so I can read it again. The beef is real, but it's about who among them will get what. It's not a beef over our liberation or enslavement. They are in agreement over that. You are interpreting the beef as existing in such a way that creates a division among them that we can take advantage of, and that we should see their ploys like this as something we can play off of. And I'm saying when they make a ploy like pretending to walk out of a speech, that we should see that as the ploy it is, to show that the real beef that they have is not about which one of them is going to work best for us, but which one of them is going to walk off with the wealth we are producing for them.
Wait, what?
Oh, that wasn't clear. I'll try it again.
It sounded as though.
No, wait. If you're not clear, let me say it again. Don't try to restate it. If you're not clear, just say it, and I'll restate. Don't try to interpret what I've said if you don't understand it. Let me just try to be more clear.
But do you know what where my point of confusion is?
I do. I just outlined it, actually. Yeah.
No, you didn't.
I did.
You just said, when I asked you what my point was, you basically said that we're saying the same thing. Did you not?
No. That's what I'm saying. If you don't understand what I said, let me just try to go. Let me just repeat it. That's not what I said. I didn't say we're saying the same thing. I'm saying that's exactly not what I said. What I'm saying is we are interpreting the beef that exists within the ruling elite entirely differently. You are interpreting their beef as something we can take advantage of. And I'm saying we should interpret their beef as something we should understand is being played upon. We should understand. I'm saying we should understand their beef not as something we can take advantage of, but as something that we should note in terms of how they differently make an appeal to us to get us to support our exploitation. So it's not something we can take it. Nancy Pelosi not being there is not something we can use to make her move farther to the left. We should use her absence as a way to call out her and her party for being fraudulently in opposition to Netanyahu, when in fact they are perfectly in support of them.
So we should use Nancy Pelosi's symbolic act we should utilize that take advantage of it. We should take advantage of that symbolic act for purposes that you have defined.
I see what you're trying to do, but we're not saying the same.
I'm trying my best.
The advantage you're saying to take it, the advantage you say we should take here is to try to drag Pelosi and others.
I never said no shit like that.
So then what would be the point? What would be the point? Then why are you arguing with me?
I would never suggest that we can move Nancy
you just
Pelosi
said that you did say that, or you did say that we should.
I'll tell you the words.
Wow. Okay, go ahead and change. Go ahead. You do this kind of often, but go ahead and change your argument now to
move the Democratic Party or any of its actors to the left.
That was the whole point that you got us. You said that was the whole point. So then what have you been arguing that I've misunderstood then? What have you been arguing should be the advantage we should take of them not being there? That's exactly what you were saying, that we should play on this to get the party to move in a direction.
Never said get the party to move. Never
to get the individuals in the party.
I will tell you what I said. I will tell you what I said. I said we raise the contradiction, as you suggested. We point out, as you said, the absurdity of the overall system. There are also, the thing I came closest to saying that is, when these motherfuckers are acting and try to play themselves off, there has been historically recorded, demonstrated opportunities for certain factions within the party and certain actors within the society to win concessions within the system, because that's all the fuck it is.
Josh, you don't listen carefully enough, my man. You're not listening carefully. I listen to Diallo so carefully each week because he does this very carefully.
You read the comments when you should
I am, because I listened to what you said.
Money. But it's all good, man.
It is all good. I mean, yeah. I mean, that's fine. I mean, okay.
Well, let me just say this, African people, liberationists abroad, pay close attention to the symbolic and real rifts within the camps of your enemy. If you would sit there and say, hey, the beefs, that these are my enemies. This is a big ball of my enemies. And within that big ball of my enemies, there are symbolic and material conflicts and divergence in tactics, strategies, points of views. Anybody that says, I don't care about my enemies, my oppressors' conflicts, or the people who rule me and the beefs they have internally, or the symbolic.
Nobody said that here today.
I don't pay no attention to that shit. It's all
fake. They just
manipulate and trick us.
I didn't say that either.
Good. Anybody
you're doing it again.
Say that, Jared does not believe it. Jared believes that we should acknowledge, pay attention to.
I didn't say there were no differences. You and Josh, wait a minute. You and James said it. I didn't say there are no differences.
I didn't say differences. You said that their beefs, their divergence, their symbolic acts of walking out of a speech or not attending or boycotting a speech, those symbolic acts, those are relevant. They should be relevant and incorporated not only into our analysis, but understanding that behavior and their actions, their public
relevant to us using that to expose them.
Incorporated in the tactics and strategies of we who seek to subvert, challenge, secure successions, or reduce.
There it is. So how would you suggest? How do you suggest
political actors?
So I asked that already.
All I'm saying, Jared.
How do you suggest we answer the question? I'm trying to answer the question. How do you suggest? Don't stop playing, Diallo. Please stop playing. Stop doing this whole performance thing. Answer the question. Let me ask you the serious question. Why do you keep doing this? Why do you keep playing? You do this. Why do you do this? Why? Why don't you? How do you suggest we subvert? How do you suggest we subvert them? So you were saying. So you're saying you agreed with me. So you're saying I've been right the whole time. What you'll notice, if anybody pays attention, what you'll notice is that Diallo changes. He makes slight adjustments to his argument once he's been shown to be wrong. And you just did it again. I haven't changed anything ever.
Calling the kettle hot.
When did I? What adjustment did I make in this argument? I just showed you yours. What adjustment did I make? If I'm the pot calling you the kettle.
Let's bullet point this, can we? just to bring it all together, all in together now. We got to make it more better now. I'll bring a point, right? Just to see if we've learned anything. Let's Mr. Rogers this. What did we learn today, boys and girls? Let's get. I'm the one.
No, I got one more story to get to before we leave, though. By the way,
I do want to get to the story, but just to wrap up this particular riff, we agree that the ruling party has very specific interest that they are continually pursuing, regardless of whether they're trying to play liberal or conservative, whether they're sitting and listening to a genocide or walking out. They have fixed and permanent interest, correct? You just be... Hey,
what I'm saying, I just want to be.
I thought
the ruling elite.
Yeah, me. I'm trying to.
The ruling, right? Okay, fine. I'll stipulate. I just want to be because I'm trying to pay attention because I think because you're always up to something. So I don't want to just stipulate. You are always up to something. You are always manipulating and adjusting and misinterpreting. It happens all the time.
I'm trying to bring the boys and girls together. I'm not. It's no trick.
I'm saying, the ruling elite are that they have beefs and divisions and disagreements, but they have a permanent goal of exploitation.
Yes, I said that. You ain't got to re-say it. I'm just trying to say it.
I do need to re-say it because I do not trust you. You are not. You are not an honest engage. You do not honestly engage. So go ahead. What's the next bullet point?
That hurts. You're the villain. You got on the black glasses. I got the white hat. I'm the hero.
Okay.
Of the movie.
Okay.
You know media. You know how media works.
It must,
when they pull this signal down out of the ether 200 years
and like now, Third Base said, like those good white boys said, it must have been a white guy that created all that.
I'm the white hat hero. All I'm trying to say. It's been
a white guy that creaed all that. Yeah, go ahead.
I try to pull it pointed just so we can move on amicably. We agree that the elite, and now you've ruined it because you don't trust me.
Look,
so
Shirley trusts you though.
Now, right on, sis. Thank you, sis. It's the glasses. Anyway,
yes, but Diallo is always trying to be slick.
Talk about something too.
Okay, go ahead. What story did you want to bring up, or what other issue?
Talk about the MAGA adjacent. The MAGA adjacent, and these are the black people who critique, condemn, or reject the Democrats from a right-wing perspective. Because we get confused. Because I didn't vote for Biden. I ain't voting for Kamala. Neither are you. And even if our assessments, conclusions diverge, I think we both critique, condemn, and challenge the Democratic Party from the left, correct?
Yes.
Got your ass now. See, no, I'm joking.
No, you're not. I'm waiting for it. Go ahead.
A far leftist critique, condemnation, criticism, and rejection of the Democrats from a far left perspective. Yes. But there are many prominent black people who say they are Pan-African, say they are radical, say they seek liberation, but their condemnation, their rejection, and their hostilities towards the Democratic Party and the political establishment, but they are right-wing. Their conclusions, their advocacy, and the policies that they call for are right-wing. But they put us all in this box. The Democrats do it, which is a good strategy because they recognize a rift in the black conscious community. They recognize our real rift, not symbolic, and they play on it. So you and I, as saying, fuck the Democrats, vote green, vote alternative, get out there and run yourself. We who try to articulate strategies and alternatives to the dominant system, they put us in the box of blacks for Trump. Or they put us in the box of black libertarians or black conservatives, correct? Black theocrats.
That's what that car tweet did. Yeah.
We need to do a better job as leftist anti-democratic parties, as leftist political actors, as leftist analysis. We don't do a good enough job of distinguishing ourselves from the right wing because as you speak to the average black voter who is a Democrat, you know, the average black voter says, fuck them Democrats. And they hear, oh, he's a Russian bot, an Iranian payroll, or, oh, he's a black Republican or a black conservative. So I think we need to do a better job in distinguishing ourselves. And I mean, probably the Pied Piper of this is Umar. But also people are talking about Kanye West, Ice Cube.
Teddy Riley.
Apparently. Yes. And I think a lot of people, as I go out, I got a solitary confinement panel this Saturday. And I know when I walk in, somebody's going to be like, oh, you don't support the Democrats. You criticize. You don't even like Obama. And so they think that. So that's all I'm saying. There's these MAGA adjacent motherfuckers are staining our position. And they're even worse than staining our position. ADOS and FBA are MAGA adjacent. Dr. Fubar, Minister Farrakhan is MAGA adjacent.
Oof.
They don't come out and say, vote Trump or make America great again. But when you take away the slogans and just look at the specific policies that they advocate for, or the specific political positions that they reject, it all falls in the line with the conservative, right-wing, theological, evangelical, and even fascist agenda. So we just sit here and had a whole exchange that I fast and pay was constructive for those listening, exchange, and people could take shit out of that and then, you know, splice us next to Yvette or splice us next to Umar and make it look like we all talking about the same thing, because we both conclude the Democratic Party is a fascist, pro-genocidal party, or I would say proto-fascist, because they are the fertile soil that fascism grows out of, which sometimes can be more problematic and harder to challenge than the actual dyed-in-the-wool fascism. But that's another debate.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you're right. And in the sense that and this is probably the main reason why I get so irritated at the car types and others out there who become, with no analysis and no sincere interest in teaching or politically educating, just come out and condemn people who criticize the Democrats from the left as ultimately being right-wing MAGA supporting Trump supporters. Because instead of expanding the discussion and illuminating the discussion and adding substance and encouraging us to move farther to the left and do things differently in between these election cycles, they just say, no, if you condemn Biden and now Kamala, you are supporting Trump. And it's super frustrating. So,
but it's our fault. It's our fault because we leave ourselves vulnerable to that. Because here's the thing. A lot of us, we dwell in these bubbles, right? And so when the minister is calling the local Democratic congressman to his pulpit to make a stump speech for the Democratic presidential candidate, that's our community sitting out there tithing and going along with that bullshit. And we don't do a good enough job. So we'll be like, yeah, the Democrats are not a viable party, or their policies are not adequate to meet the needs, desires, and obligations that it owes to the Black community. When we do that, we do not do enough to say, but, and here's why we do it. We pretty much know that the far right, that the Republicans is just fucking low-hanging fruit. I would get people all the time, you talk about Obama more than you talk about Trump. You criticize Biden more than you criticize Trump.
We get that here. You criticize Black capitalists and not the white ones.
Exactly.
But I think it's the same thing. Yeah.
But I think we need to consciously, deliberately, and consistently distinguish ourselves within the anti-democratic sphere, or alternatives to the Democrats, a version of the Democrats, critique, condemnation of the Democrat sphere. We need to do more to consciously distinguish ourselves from these right-wing reactionary. And one of the way we can do that is to talk more about the policies we advocate as much as the policies we condemn. And a lot of times we don't even speak about the policies we advocate because they're so far from being neither of the major parties embrace or advance those policies. So, you know, we could put the policy out there, but there's really no vehicle for which to inject those policies into the political spectrum. And many things that we advocate for, socialism, will require a complete destruction of the current system, or dismantling or collapse of the system. So one of the things we need to start doing that must be married to our condemnations is, what do we advocate for? Needs to be as much articulated as what we talk against. Because if we don't do that, if we simply lobbing shots that are accurate and appropriate and necessary, the democratification of the Black community is a necessary goal and necessity for our larger long-term survival, let alone empowerment. But if we just rest on attacks, we're very vulnerable. Because people come to me and all this time like, Umar said the same thing. Umar said that same thing that you said about Democrat. Umar said that. When Umar's whole outlook and solution for the Black community comes straight out of the Heritage Foundation and the Council of Foreign Relations. Ice Cube, people were coming to me and like, how could you not support Ice Cube's contract with Black America? And people were like, oh, you talk all this stuff, and then as soon as Ice Cube stepped forward with the solution, you want to tear that down. I'm like, how could anybody confuse me with the shit Ice Cube defecated out onto the political arena? So I'm just saying, this is a shortcoming that we have, but we're correct. We are correct, but we're incomplete. And we can't just rest on being right. We need to broaden that and make draw these hard lines.
So I don't disagree. Well, I somewhat disagree. I struggle with the issue of blame. Let me start there, because for on the one hand, I think a lot of us do a really good job of clarifying where we're different, what our policy points are, what we're advocating, why we disagree with the Democrats, while not being Republicans. I do think we do enough to do that. What I don't think we've done enough of is organizing around that. So I agree with you on that. But I think that one of the reasons that we have so much of a problem with that is because of what I'm calling in this discussion the car types. And what I mean by that is that these are very popular, seemingly left-wing buffers who, at the time of elections and electoral politics being discussed, constantly demean, not just disagree, but demean left-wing radical critiques and express goals. So there were a couple people in the chat who were saying they never heard Carr say this and that. One, I would encourage you to please you can go check our previous debate on the subject. But this was just from the other day, as I brought up earlier in the show. This is just one quick screenshot from another hostile Twitter exchange that he keeps having with people. I'm not even in this one. I just saw this. But as he says here at the end, pay attention or tell us you want Trump in to give full reign for full slaughter. So in other words, he's saying people who disagree with him are weaponizing ignorance. They are cooking up innuendo. He's defending Harris in criticizing Netanyahu, even though she just met with him afterwards and is an AIPAC supporter. And then he goes in to say, again, with this level of hostility, as a master teacher now, this is someone who is a master teacher and has an infinite intellect and capability with the history of African people. And he reduces it consistently around electoral politics to this. And I'm using him in this instance as a symbol for what happens a lot, that a lot of really brilliant people get really hostile with the left at a time when it comes to elections. They don't, I think, defend their point. So I think they become as much a huge problem in having in the us that is trying to do the work you're describing, reaching the audiences we want to reach. Because in all of the people that you're talking about being in those pews and in these Black audiences, by the time we get heard, they have not only heard the right, they've not only heard the mainstream, but they've also heard this sort of left-wing buffer group that projects, we got to do it, and we got to suppress everyone else as irresponsible. So so I'll just again, because shout out to Vielga, forgive me for that one, sis. I've struggled with that. But saying to push the after party, this is why I keep pushing it. And saying like, and I have even here outlined, following the Bright Lines argument from Glenn Ford from some years ago, tried to just say, look, we need our own topic areas. We need our own
MAGA.
We need our own way to address from a leftward position, electoral politics, that we need to have our own black-led party. We need to talk about redistribution of the GDP, universal health care, abolition and dual power when it comes to the police, apply locally macroeconomic ideas to the micro. Consider this, as Max Rameau has said, as phase one, and that the goal is actual political power, the ability to define phenomena and have it act as in a desired manner. That is, specifically to create public policy and determine.
Would you say Greg Carr is of the left?
Not the actual left, but what I meant by that is that he projects. I mean, he is somebody that would be projected as at minimum a left-wing liberal, and then in certain African-centered spaces, because people will hear him speak about Black people and African history in such a way that they would confuse him with a left-wing spokesperson.
But I'm going to say that that's a different fight. I think the fight with Greg Carr is different than the corruption of Black leftist politics. I think that, like I said, I said some of the key actors. I mean, Dr. Umar is out here advocating for literally jingoism and white Western nationalism and Western chauvinism and evangelical proto-fascism, like MAGA adjacent. So I think that is more egregious than even what Greg Carr does. Ooh. And I think that many of the people that I'm talking about, these reactionary far right Black people, would be 100% in your disagreement with Greg Carr. And I think you do a very good job at identifying your rift and your divergence and your further reaching view and analysis beyond Greg Carr, who's relatively short-sighted in this arena. I think you do a good job at creating and acknowledging that distinction. But I don't think you do that with the Black right-wingers, the Black reactionaries, because I think in your own mind, you're like, it's too obvious.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
It's obvious, it's grounded, but I'm telling you, it's just engaging with Black people, the right-wing reactionary proto-fascist. I mean, the Black Hebrew Israelite, or an apocalyptic evangelical reactionary right-wing group that is parading as someone interested in Black liberation.
Let me ask you this, though. Do you think who has more influence over a greater number of the Black community? Is it the Umars and the Hebrew Israelites, or is it the Roland Martins and the Greg Carrs, which I think have ultimately more reach?
I think Roland Martin and Greg Carr, I think it's different demographics. So they operate, they overlap somewhat, but the Greg Carrs and Roland Martins are for more sophisticated people. Whereas on the street level, and they're not even sophisticated in terms of status. Umar and the Hebrews are touching people emotionally. Those purple scripture eaters will put 10,000 strong, erect Black men on the street to march down the street talking about protect our women, protect our children, protect our women. And the Black community just lost their shit. Like, we need more of this. So, and frankly, Umar is more entertaining than me, you, and Greg Carr put together.
That's a fact.
It's coming with the Snow Bunny. So I think that Umar and Black Hebrew and Minister Farrakhan's reach with their right-wing reactionary, apocalyptic, evangelical, theocratic, regressive politics are they feed each other. Because what will happen is people that can really suss out Umar, who aren't really vulnerable to that because they were like, God damn, this whole fucking return to the 1950s, he thinks Jim Crow is better than now. They will run to Greg Carr as a refuge. So these people kind of toss our people back and forth between liberal or centrist to right-wing conservative. And they bounce back and forth between these two camps. And the people who support Greg Carr are like, oh, I'm far too sophisticated to fall for that rhetoric. But then the people that are with Umar is like, yo, I'm far too militant to fuck with Dr. Carr. So they toss our people back and forth between reformists,
and then they put Carr on that gay agenda too.
And then they never get to left. They never get to leftist radical analysis. So they, as you were saying, they have different tactics to reach the same outcome.
I don't know. Guru Diallo is pretty. You might have a compelling argument.
I don't know who
there.
that is.
Guru Diallo versus Umar might be a better.
That
so listen,
Guru Diallo is a reactionary. I would say he's another problematic reactionary, inconsistent.
So I do have one serious story and then one lesser serious story before we get out of here. Are we cool to move on?
I have to go on time. I got
right. So let me the serious story is of course this killing of SonyaMassey. And I don't have anything I don't know. Honestly, I'll be honest, I don't feel like seeing the video at least again. I don't want to watch it again. I don't want to feel, I don't have anything. I feel like at this point I never have anything more intelligent to say about these incidents. But this idea that police are called to a home and it quickly goes from the police claiming to want to be helpful to this woman, them claiming that this woman came at them with a pot and calls for Jesus, that should result in her being shot. And yet here we are again. The family of SonyaMassey is calling for a probe into the hiring of a sheriff's deputy charged with the fatal shooting of the 36-year-old Black woman in her Illinois home this month, citing their concerns over records showing he'd worked at 6 law enforcement agencies in 4 years and was charged with driving under the influence twice. So a lot has been said about her mental state and less has been said, at least so far, about his, but which is clearly the more of the concerning issue, because at worst, she is, with all due respect, a controllable woman with a pot in her hand, as opposed to multiple armed agents of the state who. So I'm happy to have you say what you'd like to about that, but I wanted to.
The body cam footage was released in a reasonable amount of time without series of FOIA requests and attempts to hide it. All relevant agencies and officials immediately condemned. He was fired and he was arrested and charged with first-degree murder. And I know it's weird to say this in such a situation, but that's progress, and we have to keep the pressure. I think we have to keep the pressure because it's these young people and I was there. I saw, and the protest was smart as fuck. There was citywide protests for George Floyd, and they would calmly march through the Black community. Right here, right up my block, right up King Drive. These resistors, these rebels, calmly marched through the Black community. And the moment they got down to the corporate district, to the business district, they started wrecking shit. When the 68 rebellions, my car would have been flipped over. They walked past my car, wouldn't they? I think they wiped off some of the grime off my car. And to the point where the mayor had to lift bridges and block off downtown. The mayor literally implemented a strategy of shunting and redirecting the resistance back to the Black community, because they were conscious to say, we know where the power is, we know where the resources are, we know who the true enemy is, which is a relatively, and so because shit is so horrible, or as Del Jones says, we lose so much we don't know what a victory looks like, and it's hard to talk about it, so the pressure must remain. Because what happened to this motherfucker is actually not the standard. So in all of the atrocities, and I don't really support atrocity hopping, and I can criticize atrocity hopping, but in this particular instance, and I, because people are pointing out, as you did, the how inappropriate it is and how just wrong it is to have this individual to be an armed agent of the state. He shouldn't be going to anyone's house. He's not worthy of carrying a gun, let alone carrying a gun with a full.
Shouldn't be delivering me my pizza. Shit.
If he's worthy for that, he can't drive on a bicycle, one of them bicycle delivery dudes. So in all that, I would say African people, our resistance, our protest, our demonstrations, our rallies, the work of our young people, that in Missouri, Mike Brown, in Baltimore, Detroit, the resistance is, even though it's not ending the atrocities, it's forcing the system to respond differently to the atrocities. So that's one thing that stood out to me, because everything else is so fucking common. Police there to help and create and intensify hyper-aggression, murderous. That's the status quo of the United States. But for them to immediately fire the motherfucker, to put his shit in the streets and charge him with first-degree murder, the prosecutor, to do that, our struggle has to continue, but we should also acknowledge when we have made some gains. So and the system would not be charging this guy with first-degree murder if they were not afraid and not cognizant of the response. If they had played this shit the way they tried to bury that footage for a year to 2 to 4 years. I mean, a whole political dynasty got collapsed in Chicago behind how they dealt with police brutality and the murder of a Black youth here. There are political dynasties. So the people have power when we, as you said, are organized. Those organized, sustained resistance and protest, to the point where they even tried to say, fuck, let's make this shit corporate. You know, let's bring Black power. I mean, not Black power. Let's bring Black Lives Matter into the corporate and the not-for-profit industrial nurse work. Let's bring these motherfuckers on board. And when they did that, masses of, I know some grassroots Black Lives Matter protests that walked away from the movement, the symbols, everything. They walked away from it because the shit went corporate. So all I'm saying that to say, there is there is a lesson to be learned here about organized resistance. And when they charge this motherfucker with first-degree murder, that's just a charge. And there's no trial, there's no penalty. So we have to follow the case, and we know what we have to do. But this is pretty significant.
So you could say that. You could say that,
but this particular situation, out of many situations that I didn't hate, I'm going to have to hate until further notice.
And I'm going to tell you why. And as Chitty Macha says here, I opine the reaction was swift because of the election. Can't have the masses protesting like for George Floyd while there's genocide protests happening and Kamala is leading the Dems ticket. That's where I'm at with it. But I hear you.
Yes, of course. But then here's the thing, though. Here's the thing, though. They are that is a vulnerability. They feel vulnerable. They feel vulnerable.
No, I agree, but my argument is always that they
motherfuckers don't do nothing because it's right. No. You think they did it because it's the right thing to do? No. They did it because they're vulnerable.
But that goes back to the last argument that we were just having. That's my entire point. That's my whole point. That's why. And shout out to Jared Ware, who was just talking about it again this weekend or the other day. That's why they have counterinsurgency manuals. That's why they have PSYOPs. That's why they developed a communication studies field. That's why they do what they do, because we are a permanent threat. We are a constant threat. We are a constant potential insurgent force that has to be dealt with. So when we cultivated. that and it has to be manipulated. So when they do symbolic, silly things like not showing up at Netanyahu but funding him and supporting him, or when they do things like let's go ahead and charge, we'll go ahead and sacrifice a white cop or two, I get a little suspicious. That's all I'm saying. But that's it.
I don't have to get suspicious because I stay suspicious.
All right, I think that's what. Okay, all right. Now you doing now you want to.
Yeah, I got you. Well, I mean, if somebody listen, listen, you like the lady clenching her purse in the elevator when I get on. And what did Tupac say? The next white woman I see clench her purse, I'm gonna snatch it. So if you accuse me or think I'm doing something, I'm gonna go ahead and do it. I'm gonna be that thing that you accuse me of being. So what's the point? Because if I'm not doing it, I'm still getting accused of doing it, so I might as well do it. Yeah, I'm gonna set traps for you, Jared. Because since you're looking for traps, I don't want to disappoint you. But I agree. This is because the system has vulnerabilities. And whenever the system is vulnerable and we can get a fucking concession or a win, and all I did was say, that's why we have to sustain the momentum, sustain that tension and expand it and keep pushing.
Hey, so I think we can leave it there if you're cool with that, because I know you got to leave, and I'd rather save what I wanted to bring up was what I mentioned Monday. I wanted to have, but I think Geechee should be here for that. I want us to address. I'd like us at least to address this discussion of the pause game that we've received some criticism for, and
who talking?
There's been some criticism out there, but I'd like to do that if it's okay with you, since I know, and both of us kind of got to go anyway. But yeah. Let Geechee come back, and then we'll address that with the full crew. Anything you want to let folks know about before we get out of here? Anything we need to, or you want to let folks know anything coming up?
Shout out to Sheon Kuti, new albums dropping. He just dropped a single this week, 2 singles, Day and Top, pause, which stands for Things Over People.
There it is.
Things Over People. Check out those. And he's wrapping up his tour. I was able to go to a few tour dates with him, living rock and roll lifestyle. Now I'm back to this mundane lifestyle. Also, mark your calendars for Jackson, Mississippi will be rebranded Jafrica, Mississippi, goddamn, on August 17th and 16th. Earn Your Liberation, Rational Radicals, Skip Coons dropping his new album, and we're going to come there and celebrate and boost the brothers and engage with the community there. This Friday at the University of Chicago, I'll be moderating a panel on solitary confinement and political prisoners. So come check that out, or just follow my socials for the details, because they ain't even sent me the details. But anyway, so that's coming up, and some other things coming through that I want to wait for Geechee as well.
Right on. Thank you, 2Fs. The writing is not coming along well at all. I have devolved into a state of immobility. So I got some work to do.
You need a muse.
It's not a lack of a muse. It is a lack of discipline. It's a lack of focus. It's and some other things that are actual legit excuses, but primarily it's the lesser excuses. It's just I'm not focused or disciplined these last couple weeks, so I have to get more busy on that. I have to get off. Elon says I have to get off the internet. I've actually been wildly. That hasn't helped. These last couple weeks, I've actually not been on a lot.
You gotta get on rage. You're fueled by rage.
That is true. Actually, that is a fact.
Get on
that
the
is
internet.
A fact.
Go.
No,
See, I've
that's
introduced
a fact.
you to the world. To go down that Yada rabbit hole. I swear to you.
I need to get some new fuel. The rage fuel.
Rage researching.
But I will say this though, I will be on tomorrow because we Saturdays with Renee, we got Claudia de la Cruz, and I forgot who said that on Twitter. We're gonna be on cruise control, and my president is brown and a woman too, and she got all the answers for whatever you going through. I'm gonna come up with a whole new bar for that. So yeah, and then so yeah, make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit the bell so you don't miss anything. Support our Patreon. We only have like 2 weeks left in this demonetized wilderness. We're almost out. Yeah, make sure you have the bell rung so you don't miss everything. Like, share, subscribe, do all those things. And as always, peace if you're willing to fight for it, as Fred Hampton used to say. And we will catch you next time, same place, with more.
You got to earn your liberation.